Good morning, Zebulon, Judy, Arnie, and I think, are they still on Zoom?
Yeah.
And the rest of you on Zoom. Good evening, everyone in Australia. It's great to see some familiar faces. I think we all go back a long way. But before I get on to that, I think I'd first like to congratulate Wits on its 100th birthday. I think that's a great achievement. I thought it would be a little bit older, but 100 years is still a very, very long time. Some of us, I was there also, similar to, I think, Craig, in the 1970s. And then I'd also like to congratulate Zebulon being elected to the Fellow of the Royal Society this month, joining Robert Broom, Philip Tobias, Basil Schonland, Frank Nabarro, and Nobel Prize winner Aaron Kluk, all Wits alumni. I think that is a significant achievement, Zebulon, and well done to you. It's also great to see Dr. Helmut Hart here. We come from the same town, but he also played a role as head of Wits Convocation many years ago, from 1992 to 1994. So I think in reading a little bit of research, I thought, let me look at the document that Lawrence sent me on the Wits for Good. And I was really struck by the quality of the institution, the alumni that have made a significant difference and impact on societies all around the world. I think many have made it on the global stage. I think someone mentioned Nati Kirsch Foundation or Nati Kirsch. Nati Kirsch has done brilliantly internationally. Patrick Soon Chong, who did medicine when I was there. Rodney Sachs, who was a lawyer at Worksmans and left South Africa, and him and Hilton Schlossberg created a great business called Monster when they sold out a bit to Coca-Cola. They're both worth a couple of $1 billion, $3 billion each. Ivan Glazenberg, I see he's also a Witsy. He's on the list today of the top 10 wealthiest Australians. I don't know why they regard him as Australian, because he's a South African that used to live in Zug. I don't know where he lives today. And then there are a whole lot of people from Wits who built great companies in South Africa. I'll start off with my colleague and friend Brian Joffe, Bidcorp, Bidvest. You see the Bidcorp trucks driving around in Australia. That's the biggest part of their business, actually, is Australia. Adrian Gore, we saw his picture there of Discovery. Patrice Motsepe, who built African Rainbow Minerals and has broadened out into a lot of other activities, including being one of the controlling shareholders of Sanlam. And Koos Becker, you might not know his name. I didn't realize he was a Witsy who built Naspers, which for a long while before this tech bubble burst, was the largest company on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. I think many others have flourished in other fields, including medicine, engineering, and technology. I think I was in South Africa when COVID broke, and we used to listen to Barry Sharp and Glenda Gray, who helped us navigate COVID in South Africa. And I saw one of the names on that list there, Professor Mardi was also one of the guys that helped us navigate COVID in the very early days and right throughout. We also have a number of Witsies that were professors at major business schools around the world, Barcelona and Meyer Feldman at Columbia and Barcelona at Stanford, which are top 10 global business schools. So it really has made its mark on the world stage, and hopefully it will continue to do that. I was at Wits doing accountancy, did BCom and then accountancy from 1970 to 1974, and then I did a high diploma in business data processing in 1975 and 1976. Those are the days we still had punch cards and these big computers that you could do nothing but occupy a big room like this. And then I was on the first part-time MBA program in 1978 to 1981. And when I think back on my years at campus, both full-time and part-time, I have to be very thankful for the wonderful foundation that enabled me to build a career in global banking and investment management. I was also fortunate I met my wife, who I've been married to for 45 years. The 70s were very traumatic in South Africa. Wits was at the forefront of the anti-apartheid movement. I can still remember many days, because I used to live in Benoni, and I used to drive early in the morning to Joburg, and we used to stay there until 10 o'clock at night and have dinner at takeaways from Pops across the road. And many days when cops in blue uniforms with those hats were running across hitting us with batons. In 1970, I went to watch Wits Tuckies rugby. We were called communists. And from 1971 on, the match was banned. You never saw Wits Tuckies rugby anymore. Many Witsies were placed under house arrest. I had a number of friends who were placed under house arrest or subjected to detention without trial. Many left the country. I think in the post-apartheid period, from 1994 to the financial crisis, South Africa started making significant progress and was transforming and creating jobs. Unfortunately, the financial crisis, together with the change in leadership of the ruling party, brought about the start of a very difficult period. I think we all know and read the newspapers, economic growth has been subpar. Capacity of the state has been hollowed out. I think it's a miracle that Wits still have the capacity that they actually have. That was through corruption and cadre deployment. I think Zebron mentioned how strong Wits value governance and how strong governance actually is. Strangely, there is a significant skill shortage in the country. When I was on the board of business leadership, we did research that concluded that there were 900,000 skilled people short. Each skilled person creates 5 jobs. That would have a significant dent, it wouldn't solve unemployment, but would have a significant dent on unemployment. I think we all know that the key to resolving this issue is eliminate corruption, make sure that you have an educated workforce, and right across the section. This starts very, very early in life in South Africa, and it is, people are very, very disadvantaged, and education in the public sector, if I can call it that, is still very poor. Wits would have to contend with that. Those kids, they're bright kids that come through, and they have to be assimilated into a totally different environment, coming with a very bad, poor schooling and background. But they're bright and they actually managed to get there. In fact, the CEO who took over from me at Investec, a guy by the name of Fani Titi, the first time he saw the village that he lived in was when he came back from his first year at university. He happened to be particularly bright. He ended up getting a maths degree at in America at Berkeley, and then he did his MBA at Wits. So he's also a Wits alum now. In fact, out of the top 6 banks in South Africa, 3 are Wits alum now. The head of Standard Bank, the head of FNB, and the head of Investec are all Wits alum now. So the key to us resolving this issue, and I'll still talk about us because I'm still very involved in South Africa, is clearly eliminate corruption. I think the current president is trying to do that. Education, and this is where Wits comes in, and the support of its global alumni is very, very important for Wits to do what they can do on the education front, and creating and enabling a business-friendly environment that fosters entrepreneurs and encourages investments. That's where the corruption and these 3 points is where South Africa is currently failing. We really need to focus as a society to help overcome that. I think Wits as an institution has a very important role to play in helping address these issues, particularly around education and skills development and relevant skills development. It is already playing an important role, but I think with help and support of a very talented alumni both in South Africa and around the world, it can really make a significant difference and put South Africa on the path of prosperity and inclusive growth. You know, people always have called me an optimist, and I still am an optimist on South Africa. I believe it can occupy its rightful place on the world stage. It has the potential to deal with the issues and create a growth economy. Like Australia, it has many natural resources. It is a great tourist destination. It could be an education hub for Africa, and it could be a business center for Africa if government would do the right things around these particular factors. They know what they have to do, but they're just slow, and there's so much politics and so many factions that they just don't seem to get anything done, which is very frustrating for all of us because we shout and scream all the time. But, you know, as my optimistic side of me says, that South Africa will prevail. It has come back from the dark days when cops were running across the Wits campus, beating us up, and the Rouse students were throwing stones at us from the other side of the road. to South Africa that, you know, is a beacon of hope for the rest of the world. And I think, as Zebulon said, you know, we don't have the issues like Russia invading Ukraine. We managed to solve our issues peacefully as a country, and you know, I have a lot of hope that there is enough will and enough good people around to take it to the next level. So I look forward to Wits going from strength to strength under the leadership of Judy and Zebulon, and with the support of its great alumni all over the world. So I thank you and look forward to more events of this type. I think that you guys are really doing a great job in terms of making the colleagues in Australia and of AFWITSU aware of what can be done to help uplift. Wits really gave us as individuals a hell of a lot to set us on a path to build careers all around the world, and I think that we all have an obligation in some form or other to try and help and support. So thank you very much.